Hi, welcome to Tumtum Network, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to have you here. I'm Cyrus. In today's episode, we are looking at two prospective automobile makers in West Africa. And I call them prospective because I feel strongly that they have the potential to become a household name, the most vibrant, the most trusted brands in West Africa if the right government policies are put in place. And for those reasons, I want to do this episode looking at typical problems that these two car makers are facing, which is shocking. So we have two car makers in this episode. Kantanka Automobile, that is made in Ghana, and Innoson Automobile Company, that is made in Nigeria. Kantanka was founded in 1994 by Apostle Dr. Engineer Kojo Safo Kantanka, and Innoson Automobile was founded by Chief Innocent Ifediaso Chukuma of Nigeria. They face an uphill battle due to the overwhelming size of the competition in the industry. For many years in Africa and so many parts of the world, Japanese automobile makers have dominated the market. And so it is not an easy industry to break through and become successful. But all the same, in doing this research, I looked at the best ways these two car companies can actually make an impact in the whole of West Africa. Now, two particular challenges they both face, and I've put it in a question form. Hopefully, somehow, some way, we can get answers to these questions. Question number one is this. Will these two governments, and I'm referring to the government of Ghana and the government of Nigeria, will they ever lead the way in promoting these car brands? That is question number one. And then question number two is, do our people want these car brands? You see, I love capitalism and competition, and I think it's the right way to go. But I equally support domestication and the promotion of indigenous products. So don't get me wrong with what I'm about to say next. When I was a student in Malaysia, there was an agenda by the Malaysian government in promoting their homemade car. Proton was the brand. And at the time, there were all these other brands from other parts of Asia. I'm talking about Japan and Korea, which were in the market in Malaysia. But this particular move helped the Malaysian government and their car maker to not just stay afloat, but take a big market share every year in the car industry in Malaysia. At the time, the Malaysian government raised taxes for all imported cars and made the Proton car the official government car for all government passengers. And from that time, even till now, Proton cars have always held a significant market share of not less than 20% every year in Malaysia. How do they do this? Government was deliberate about what they were doing for that car company. And I feel that is successful in business, especially looking at the kind of competition that you are up against. But as I was doing the research, I saw people write other silly comments, which I want to quickly address and move on to the main topic. Some were calling it re-engineering or assembling, but this is where they are ignorant. The prestigious brands that these same people would like to show off in, talking about Apple, talking about Toyota, talking about Mercedes-Benz, they all have third-party companies that produces certain parts for them. So it's an industry thing. Nobody actually does everything on their own. They outsource some of these things to these other companies, depend on them for those productions in order to bring it back and put it all together. At the end of the day, they put their logo on it. And nobody is buying some of these things, trying to dismantle it and look at which part of that thing came from where. Nobody does that. The logo on it speaks for the thing. If it is solid, it's solid. So what we have here is what we have here. We have to deal with that. So stop giving it all these unnecessary names. Now let's get back to the main topic. To be totally honest with you, I have two conspiracies in this whole episode. My first conspiracy is this. I think most of our leaders, when they are in opposition, always have ideas of coming in and helping these companies to expand and get a certain market share. But when they come in and get hit with the real politics of the nation, where some of these giant automobile companies will come to them with a package, then they are forced to roll back on all these brilliant ideas that they had for these companies. And my second conspiracy is this. They will rather go and import some of these cars and make money whilst they are doing that than to depend on the local manufacturer and not make as much money. I mean, I could be right or wrong. I can tell you for a fact, if we gave these automobiles a decade of consistent support and putting in the framework to make their environment conducive for the local people to buy their vehicles, the people in our countries will now feel attached to these companies. There will be a strong bond between ourselves and the companies. And we'll trust these companies because we would have seen a lot of improvements being made in their car brands. I'm sure by the end of that 10 years, a lot of these stereotypes will change concerning our local cars. Now, in order for our governments to actually push this agenda, they will have to first create a payment plan that is feasible for our type of economy. We have to include multiple banks, finance providers, insurance companies, and a whole bunch of different entities in order to make this work. So it is not just government doing it, but government leading the way to make this platform possible. All our Ubers and taxis and law enforcement agencies like the police, the military, the immigration, the customs, they will all have to buy into it in order to make this work. But if the government won't do it, then that leads me to my next question, which is, do our people actually love these brands? There are three most likely answers you can give. Yes, no, or we don't know. If the answer is yes, then this is what I mean. And I'm talking about Innoson and Kantanka. And I'm giving you this advice for free. You will have to get in touch with the transportation unions and together draw up policies, payment plans, insurance cover, maintenance schedules with them. You cannot do it in isolation. It won't work. All these partners will have to be on the table when drawing up these policies. This is because we live in a world where even if you produce the best of something, if you don't work with the right partners and put it in the hands of people who will actually be able to help you market it, you may be having the best of the product, but you wouldn't still control anything in the market. You practically have to take that product to the marketplace for sampling, and they will be the ones to spearhead it for you. And the second method will actually work even better in Nigeria because of their federal state of governance, where you can actually look at specific governors or senators in order to help you push that agenda. So you have to do it on a pilot basis. You target a certain union, a driver's union, and then you work with them. And your vehicle will be the only vehicle they can use in that station. Or perhaps you have to create your own station and get your own drivers and get your own supervisors and get your own insurance covers and maintenance team around that area. It has to be aggressive. If these car makers will sit back and expect people to walk to them, it is not going to happen, because it's easier for people to buy things that they trust, like the Toyota, the Kia, the Hyundai, and all that, than to now go and buy a car that they have never used before, or they don't know anybody else who is using it. So they have to consider all these things. Cars made in Africa will be very convenient, looking at how close they are to us, because at any point when we have to buy parts, they are at our backyards and it's easy to buy from them, especially if the prices are cool. So we have to figure out a way to compete and become relevant in the auto industry. These two brands, I've personally not used any of them, but it's something I would like to try and see how well they are on the road and off the road. So if you're an African and you have a business that has a lot of cars that you use, I think it's not a bad idea to incorporate some of these our local car makers into your cars, because as more companies get to use these cars, that is where the confidence is given to the ordinary person that they can be trusted. But if companies are not using it, if government institutions are not using it, if the government itself is not pushing the agenda, and we leave it all to the car makers, it's going to take us forever. I'll end with this though. If it can be done in Japan, if it can be done in Korea and Malaysia, then it can be done in Africa. I believe that Ghana and Nigeria has the capability of breaking into the industry with these two car companies. And the day these car companies are accepted by our people, the whole of Africa, as a matter of fact, can buy into it. And from there, we can also control what we drive in this continent. Remember, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa also produce their own cars. And I encourage our manufacturers to look at multiple ways to make payment plans feasible, possible for our people to buy these cars. Sadly enough, I don't know about Nigeria though, but if you come to Ghana today, the one way we know of buying a car is to actually walk to the car garage with all the money, not even part of it. It is few times where a company or a bank will finance that car for you. Most times you have to walk into the car garage or showroom with all the money in order to be able to buy. I don't think this practice moving forward is going to help the car manufacturing companies and our people. So something will have to change, and this is what I'm proposing. If government wouldn't push the agenda, the car manufacturers can do it. I've been a salesman, so I'm able to sell a lot of things, and ideas will come from all manner of places. So if I'm a car manufacturer, I'm looking at the best ways to put my cars in the hands of the people. Because as many people get their hands on these cars and try them, the more common it's found in society and the more likely that people will buy from you. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Please remember to subscribe and be a part of this podcast moving forward. Until I come your way again, God bless you, and it's bye-bye for now.